Hello, everyone. My name's Linda Comeau, and welcome to Constellation Interviews. Today, my guest is the amazing Brigitte Stzab, and she is going to be presenting at our conference in October 5th to 8th in Virginia Beach. For more information, you can see our website, nasconstellations.org. Welcome, Brigitte.
Thank you. Thank you, Linda. I'm very
so
glad to be
excited.
here.
Oh, I'm so excited.
If you don't mind, I would like you to correct you for the pronunciation of my name. That is always a problem for people, so I wouldn't want to get the wrong pronunciation out there, but normally I really don't care what people call me. But it's Brigitte.
Brigitte.
Brigitte. Yes.
Thank you. Oh, I didn't realize that. Oh, and I should tell everybody the amazing talk you're going to present. The title is The Body Talks, Tracking Nonverbal Information and Using the Body to Aid a Deeply Felt Resolution. I'm very excited to hear about this.
Well, over the years, my work has included the body more and more. When we first started, all the emphasis was on what people say and to repeat the sentences, and from a very early age, I think I've been very body oriented. My body always tells me what's going on, and the body brain, my intuition, it goes a lot through what I feel. I feel empathically, and I'm a clairsentient, so I feel other people inside myself. So I feel what they're feeling, and I feel what their body feels. So I've started to pay really close attention to what I see people's bodies expressing, because when you have representatives that are new or even experienced ones, their filters still work. The filter of their own experience that they put on the constellation. So the body, watching the body helps me bypass, not to ignore what they're saying, but to augment with a truth that is in the movement. And I found that to be an invaluable aid. So this is what I want to teach at the conference, to point people to how I'm seeing and the patterns that I have learned to recognize over the years, which may show up differently for people, but the way of looking is still the same, I think. And so I have recognized patterns that I want to point out in the constellation, and also the various tools that I have developed, and also the ones that I have adopted from various teachers that I have watched work over the years, that are aiding a person's progress in their resolution by using the body to make the movement happen. So that is kind of the gist of it. What I'm going to do, what I always want to do at the conference, is do constellations. I'm very glad that more emphasis has been placed on doing actual work at this conference, as opposed to some of the previous conferences where we had a lot of talk. So I always want to see the work, and I want to experience it. That's for me where my joy is. And so that's how I work at the conference in what I'm presenting. I want to do constellation, one or two, however we have time for, and then while we're doing this constellation, pointing out my way of seeing, and also how we can bring in body movement to aid the resolution.
Well, that sounds very interesting. Can you give us a little example as a tidbit of something that you may have noticed that was significant?
Well, you know, when I don't really know what is being taught out there now. You know, for me, some of these things are so normal to use. For instance, going on their knees, you know, for representatives, making them small. I use this all the time, and it brings the most immediate results. When you encounter a representative that's in resistance to a step that they're supposed to make, and they're just too big. So I bring in a pillow and I have them kneel on it, and I explain that this is not necessarily a posture of submission. This is just a posture that shifts the perspective on the person that they're standing in front of, kneeling in front of. So all of a sudden, when they become small, there's a remembrance there. And I use that a lot with the working participant, of course, but also with representatives when they're looking up and all of a sudden everything is different. Because, you know, we have grown out of these traumatized children into adults that are then trying to keep control over their perspective and over, you know, their coping mechanisms, and want to have the upper hand. So that creates resistance. And that's often very hard to break through. You can use words, but just having them kneel down is so simple. It changes everything. So I use that a lot. And you can make people even smaller by having them go into child's pose or lay flat on the ground. And that brings a relaxation to the body, that, you know, because of the closest to the earth, and putting your forehead on the earth with all its mind chatter is incredibly relaxing to a person. And I leave them there. See, I mean, my work is slow because the body needs time to process these different movements and what all the reactions that they trigger inside the cellular memory. So we just stay in these poses and let them work on their own. And often it's quiet and silent and nothing else is happening but that. And there's the combined focus of everyone on that person. And you have to wait long enough for them not to feel like, okay, now I have to produce a result. Now I have to make this step. Everybody's waiting. If you wait long enough, and they forget that expectation that's placed on them, and they just be in that moment, in that experience that they're having. So that's why the work has to be slow, and it cannot be done in an hour and a half, you know. So that's why a longer time frame was necessary for this piece of work. And as it is in all my workshops, I work slowly and thoroughly, allowing people all of those steps to integrate body, mind, and the heart.
Oh, this sounds very exciting. Please continue. This is so good.
Well, I don't want to give it all away, but I hope to have some handouts of gestures that we use for healing, and if we see them in the workshop, and then people have the handout later on with the photographs to, you know, or maybe a web page that they can go to, so that they can remember them and then integrate them in their own practices. I really tell you, the body is amazing. The body's always been there from day one to record all the experiences that the heart has. And the heart gets so burdened and so weighed down and so overwhelmed that then the mind kicks in with its control and trying to keep the upper hand of the life experience, to the point where we're so dissociated that we forget that trauma happened. I know that I had trauma buried in my body that came out when I did wolfing. That was years ago, and I had the practitioner worked on my pelvis. And all of a sudden, there was an incredible amount of fear flooding my heart, fear and terror. And I didn't know where that came from. I didn't have any experience of fear and terror of that magnitude in my life. So, and I went to an energy healer after that, and we worked on past life trauma that was sitting in my body. I know a lot of people have childhood trauma that they have dissociated from, that is still with them. And when you work with the body to bring it up, that very slow work that requires the patience and the arrival in each moment, and not the hurried, well, next step, right? Where you can get to with constellation work is incredible to unearthing this. I know no better tool really, but it does take a slow approach.
Hmm. Oh, this is going to be exciting. So your workshop will be great for practitioners, but
Yes,
also for someone just beginning, perhaps.
I think so, because it will be a constellation, from start to finish.
Hmm.
That that's gonna, like any constellation, it resonates with people who are watching it. It resonates in some of their own um, uh, trauma that they may be holding, or family situations that they have been a part of, or they know somebody who does, that kind of thing. So constellations are always powerful for those sitting around, as you know. So that I don't think that there needs to be anyone excluded from this experience. Plus, people have a way of finding their place in my workshop when they have deep trauma. I mean, the field just tells people, which is another reason why I can't do this in a very short amount of time, because people tend to come with really deep stuff to me anymore. So that's why, why this way of working has really helped when nothing else really does, because it's a scary thing to go back there, and people have to be safe, feeling safe in their body and safe in the container that is created.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, this is going to be so exciting. Now, tell me, in addition to coming to your workshop on Saturday afternoon about 3:30, why should people come to the conference? What do you think are going to be some benefits to our audience?
Um, I love the conferences because I get to meet my peers, my friends, the people who love this work as much as I do, people who are on a conscious path of transformation and evolution in their lives, people who want to bring this work and consciousness to the world around them. You don't have that kind of a weekend a lot, because we almost live in dual worlds here. There's the world of chaos and disruption and this dysfunction out there, and then there are a lot of people who are on a conscious path and seeking how to remedy what is going on in the world. And I find that our work is essential to all of the change that can happen. And I like that it starts with the individual, because I feel quite powerless when I think of the whole out there, and how do we make something shift that it really impacts everyone. But I have seen over 20 years of working in constellation work, how one person's change, their very personal evolution, has changed everyone in their family system when they were insistent on getting there, on coming back and doing their work in that courageous and serious way. And their families profit, their communities profit, the children benefit, everybody benefits. So this work, if people have, whether people know this work and have come to it or not, the conference is the hub where all of the facilitators are, where the love for healing and consciousness is going to be held high as a torch, and wonderful connections can be made. So I would encourage people, whether they know a little about the work or a lot or nothing at all, to come and be in our circle.
Yes, absolutely. Follow their intuition. Rather significant that it's going to be at Virginia Beach this year also.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yes, I'm very excited that way, and involve new people. So I really appreciate your time today. I love your workshop. I think it works beautifully with the theme, Bridging the Divide, Healing the Personal and Collective Soul. As you say, it starts with the individual, and you can attend a variety of tracks of workshops, organizational, family, shamanic, and organizational. Oh, I said that. What was the fourth one? Family, organizational, shamanic. Oh, and collective. Collective work. Yes. Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you, Brigitte. I really appreciate your time today. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I have a workshop in Virginia actually the weekend after the conference. For me, that I just had to do a little bit of shifting when I found out the dates and location. And so I'm already over there working in Sarasota in September, and then North Carolina in September. That's the weekend before the conference in Chapel Hill. And then I have a workshop afterwards in Virginia the weekend after the conference. So if people want to come and do a full weekend with me, they don't have to travel very far if they want to immerse some more.
Excellent. Okay. Well, I will thank you again, Brigitte. Brigitte's workshop is The Body Talks, Tracking Nonverbal Information and Using the Body to Aid a Deeply Felt Resolution. And you can find more information about Brigitte and our conference, NAS, constellations.org. Thanks everybody for watching today. Thanks again, Brigitte, and we'll see you at the conference.
Thank you, Linda.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.